There's not. Well, the answer to that is sort of. There is a state law that requires mandatory hookups to sewer. There's not a state law that requires mandatory hookups to water. So those are different things. The law says if anywhere, whether you're in Pensacola or Miami, if there's a sewer line in front of your house, you have to hook up to it. That's state law.
Are you supporting what the city is proposing?
I think it is great, given that the city has just been found to be violating state law in multiple ways in this recent audit. I think Palm Bay realizing they have to follow the same laws that everybody else does is always going to be a good thing. So I think it's a positive that the politicians in Palm Bay realize that they don't just get to rule their home however they want, that they actually have to follow the law.
We know that septic tanks are one of the biggest contributors to the problem of high nutrients polluting the IRL. Do you think there should be a moratorium on septic tanks or certain kinds of septic tanks?
Well, I think we have to look at it, and I think it also depends on where. So if you have a large piece of property not near a damaged water body, a septic tank is not a big deal. But if you have a very small lot and you're next to a canal or a waterway that leads directly to the Indian River Lagoon, then you're contributing to the problem. And so I think it's not a question of are septic tanks good or are septic tanks bad. I think it's a question of where they're being used.
What do you think is the residents' responsibilities in protecting the lagoon?
Well, I think none of us have a right to pollute. And unfortunately, septic tanks are designed to pollute. It's something that people don't understand. Septic tanks are misnamed. They actually have a legal name. They're called like on-site sewage treatment systems. Septic tanks have holes in them by design where water comes out of the tank. Otherwise, think about it, they'd fill up really quickly. That water that leaves the tank has nitrogen and phosphorus in it. That is what is polluting the lagoon.
What do you think is the fiscal impact that will be on the residents, and will your grant matching fund bill be able to deter some of the costs?
So hooking up is not a trivial sum. It's not a non-trivial sum. It's a lot of money. It's thousands of dollars to hook up. And now again, like my understanding is Palm Bay is proposing to follow the law, which is sewer hookups, but also these water hookups, which is not part of the law. So that's 2 hookups. That's going to be more expensive than just 1 hookup. But even connecting sewage is expensive. The law does not require the residents to pay the cost to hook up, however. Palm Bay had $16 million, as we just learned, as a giveaway to a developer. And they just took $16 million to build this road that connects the interchange to nowhere to Babcock Road. $16 million would pay for a lot of people to hook up to the sewer system. So the politicians have money to pay for the things they want to pay for. The fact that people have to hook up does not mean that the politicians have to make the people pay for it. They don't make the developers pay. Maybe they shouldn't make the people pay. But that said, it is an expensive proposition. You asked about my bill. My bill would create funds to do that. The bill, you can only spend 3 things on it. One of the 3 things is helping people connect, to do exactly this. Connect homes that are next to a sewer line but aren't connected to it, to connect them to it. That is one of the 3 purposes that you can use the money in the bill for. The positive benefit of this is it will not only help the lagoon, it'll also help the St. John's. The St. John's is not that far from Palm Bay, where a lot of people in Brevard County get their drinking water. So, no, I think it will net be a positive. I hope that the politicians will treat the residents the same way they treated the developer.
Where is your bill in the process, and what do you think the chances are of it getting passed?
So the bill's doing great. It has passed its first of 3 committees in the House. It has passed its first of 3 committees in the Senate. That's great because we don't even start session for a month. But I have 2 more stops in the House and we have 2 more stops in the Senate. The good news is in the Senate, the next committee is a committee that Senator Debbie Mayfield chairs. And one would think that as our senator who cares about the lagoon, she would want to see a bill like this advance. So I'm optimistic that Senator Mayfield will agenda the bill. And then we'll continue working on it in the House as well. What are the odds? It's hard to say. It's a complicated process. But I'm going to keep working on it. It is my #1 priority for the legislative session.
Some residents in Palm Bay have called this a money grab by the city in an attempt to get funding for our new wastewater treatment plant to facilitate future growth. Do you agree with that assessment?
I don't know. to be the truth. I don't know the details about Palm Bay's utility system. What I know is this. Remember, we have to separate water from sewer. There's no state law that requires people to be on city water. So the reasoning for that, I don't know. And one would think that'll be about half the cost. But as it relates to the septic side, it's already state law that Palm Bay, as it has in dozens of other situations, has simply ignored state law.